Who y'all, Recruiting Nation? Welcome back to another phenomenal episode of Uncharted Waters with the one, the only, the people's champ, the architect of success, Admiral James Waters. I am Chief Totome. Let's get into another incredible episode. Today we have an amazing guest. Today we have one of the best detailers around. We have with us Daytona's favorite son, Chief Parris Gordon from Parris Ford. Chief Gordon, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Admiral, for having me.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are, Chief Gordon?
Yes. So I've been in the Navy now 16 years. Originally started from Jacksonville, got recruited. First duty station was the USS Enterprise. Did the final 2 deployments on there. After doing that, I had the opportunity to go recruiting for the first time back in my home state of Jacksonville. Loved it there, was fleeted up to LPO, and then had the opportunity to go back to Miami. Once in Miami, had really great options and opportunities to lead. I went to DEPCO, DLCPO, and then when we went to the TAOT system, I was the onboard director for about 7 months, and then I transferred over to Intact Mid-America, where I took over as DLCPO of the Kansas City area. And I did that for 3 years, and then I had the opportunity to come to NPC, where not only I'm able to help sailors to get to their next progression in their career by detailing them to the best places that we need sailors at.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. So in Navy recruiting and across the enterprise, we've had a new initiative of the I-Stop. Yes. Can you talk a little bit about the I-Stop and how NTAGs across the enterprise can better prepare for this move?
Yes, the I-Stop is definitely a great new innovation to the system, because for me as a recruiter, I wish I had it, but it allows recruiters 60 days to not only get everything set up for their family, TRICARE, things that recruiters don't really think about when they initially get there. At the same time, still getting their qualifications, getting on-the-job training, and getting all their stuff they need to be a successful recruiter, business cards, cell phones, access to government cars and computers. So whenever they go back to Nauru, they're able to kind of understand what they're getting taught at their on-hands training instead of just going in there blind. They can actually see what they used to do. They understand when somebody say cold calling, and they get under that idea. They're in a better mindset when they go back to school.
Yeah, they learn a little bit of the language of recruiting, which is good. Yeah, for the recruiters and more for the non-recruiters out there that might be listening, what we're talking about here is the path from a sailor's first tour, so a ship, an aircraft squadron, something like that, to the point where they become an active recruiter. Historically, it's been, you kind of go to Nauru or the recruiter school first, and then there's some leave and getting your family set, and then finally getting, at the area of your station, and then finally getting into recruiting. We've flipped the script a little bit so that you transfer from your sea tour to an I-Stop, right, this intermediate stop at the actual recruiting station, where all those great things you described occur before the sailor then goes to recruiter school. They can focus on it.
Absolutely.
And then the idea is they can transition from the school directly back and start recruiting with everything they learned at school.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I really appreciate PERS for leaning in with us to make that happen. It's great.
Yeah, it was definitely a great opportunity to help sailors get more acclimated to where they're going a lot faster.
Yeah, and they should also expect in their orders the actual recruiting station they're going to.
So yes, they won't even get their orders until we get the UDA. So that's been the biggest driving forces. So they know exactly where they're going in their orders. So it's no more getting to school and figuring out where they're going. They know exactly where they're going. So when they go back to their I-Stop, they're actually going to the station they'll be working at, and they can look for a home, schooling and stuff like that, where they're going to be at and where their family may be at.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Amazing. Amazing. So Chief, with recruiting being an arduous duty, is there anything in the talks about post-tour recruiters leaving in selection of orders?
So not right now. So how the selection of orders is going in, we're going into a different system of billet-based advancement. So BBA is what everybody calls it. So BBA is definitely a program that we're leaning more into when you're going for selection for orders. So sailors or recruiters that's out there right now, what they're looking at, especially coming March 20, 2025, there's 14 rates that's going to be affected by this. So sailors that are coming up for advancement exam, they're not going to be taking the advancement exam, those 14 rates. They're going to be taking a rating knowledge exam. Once they pass that rating knowledge exam, they'll be eligible, any E5s that we have on recruiting be eligible for advanced to position billets if they want to advance once leaving there. So as of right now, there's no incentive leaving postal, but coming with recruiting, they do have an advantage of having opportunities of advanced incentive pay when they're coming out here. So they have the opportunity when they're selecting billets to, for example, if they're going to Intact Mid-America, they can bid for up to $250 to $500 to add on to going to those billets.
And that's a monthly pay, right?
Yes, that is a monthly
Yeah,
pay.
that's for the assignment incentive pay for those things. Right, yeah. So billet-based advancement will be a pretty significant change for a big chunk of the ratings in the entire Navy,
Yes.
right? Designed to incentivize filling the billets that are the Navy needs filled, but also meeting the needs of the sailor so that they advance and get paid more. And the sailor in that process has choice through the My Navy assignment.
Yes. So the whole process is to allow sailors to not only advance their career, but have the opportunity to work what they need out for their families. So say they want to go back to California, they can look at those positions to see if they can advance if they have the opportunity. And then what they look at is the scoring criteria for those sailors. So if they have a lot of sea time or they did really well on their rating knowledge exam, all that stuff goes into effect when they're advancing. If they have any C's that those critical, so they can advance their career while still taking care of their family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good.
I like that. So, Chief, can you talk a little bit about the senior enlisted marketplace?
Yes, so the senior enlisted marketplace is pretty much where BBA really all stemmed from with the E9s and now it's migrating down to E7s. So what that looks like is for any chiefs that's coming up, when they get screened, starting in October for E7s, the market will open for them. So just like how they used to select orders in the marketplace, they'll do the same thing, but they'll be applying for E7 jobs. So all the screen E9s and E8s, in August, they'll be applying for E9s or E8 jobs, whatever, for advancement.
Yeah, so advancement no longer comes, the board results come out and you frock and then you advance based on a time. You're advancing into a position. So it's essentially A2P for khaki,
Yes.
right? With the exception, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, certainly, for E7 screening, so if you're an E6 screening for E7, there is a plan to frock them at a date to do the chief season.
So yes, so they're still staying in line with the traditional chief season of frocking for all the chiefs. So they still have to do the obligation of service, and they still have to do the frocking. And then once that happens, come October, that's when they'll be eligible to apply for those jobs. But they won't get paid until they check on board their new assignment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, being a detailer, what are some misconceptions that you can allude to, especially from the field across the enterprise, on how sailors perceive the detailing process to be?
Yeah, so a lot of sailors have the misconception that detailers are there just to put them into any billet that we see open, where the detailers are actually there to be the sailor's advocate. So we're working with the sailors, so the more the sailors communicate with the details of what they need or what they're looking for, the better we can help them and guide them to the best opportunities. And a lot of times with CRFs, they think they could have to reach out to their gaining CR or command to get orders there, whereas you need to work with Chief Vega for CRF people to get those orders in the sense of talk to her what you're looking to do. Are you trying to go back to the East Coast? Are you trying to go back to West Coast? And be really open and communicative of what you're looking for. That way she can negotiate and look at what we have available and better angle what opportunities they may have available for you in the future.
Right, and that's played out through the My Navy assignment bidding process, correct?
So yes, it is played out through that system, and then also via email. I tell all my sailors that reach out, don't be scared to reach out to your detailer, send them an email. Communicate early, especially before you get into your window, because once you get in that 12-month window, you kind of close your opportunities. Once you reach out earlier and communicate earlier often with your, especially around that 15, 18-month window with your detailer, it gives them the opportunity to kind of work with you and see what opportunities may be available to you, like any shore or sea special programs. You usually have a screening process.
Yeah. And I think it's also important for recruiters to keep in mind being completely transparent about what's driving the things you're asking for can only help, right? If you need to be in a place because your parents are getting older and you need to spend some time with them, well, while that's not going to guarantee that you're going to be there, it certainly helps you as the detailer to understand what's driving it and really seek, as the sailor's advocate, to get that sailor something in that area if you can, right?
Yes, the more transparent you are, the better off you are. Sometimes sailors feel like they withhold information. They get a better, being honest and open with your detailer is key, so they can help you the best possible way.
I think the best way for recruiters to think about this is, just like we have a mantra of developing trust-based relationships with prospective sailors, you have to develop a trust-based relationship with the detailer, right? It's a human-to-human relationship. The skills we learn as recruiters, where we build trust between ourselves and candidates, are the same skills. I mean, you're a recruiter, so it's the same skills with a detailer. And when that detailer feels that connection and understands the needs of the sailor, it's much easier to make everyone happy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So being a detailer, and you talked a little bit about transparency, what advice would you give to Recruiting Nation as far as when they're speaking to the detailer, what are the top things you want to hear as a detailer, and what should it be relaying to the NTAG when they're talking about their UDA or where they want to be stationed?
Oh, that's a great question. So as a detailer, the biggest thing I want to know is like where you're trying to go and what's your reasoning behind that. And be very open with me in the sense of, what kind of qualifications do you have? What platforms have you been on? Are you open to go recruiting? And what locations? Do you have family in those locations? Things along that nature. And then once you do get selected to go to a NTAG, when you're communicating that with the CRs, is being very open to whatever situation you may have. If you have kids, if you have family that's already there. Because sometimes people get orders because they may have kids already there. So being open and honest with that CR and that command so they understand what your driving force of coming to there is, they can better help you when it comes to UDA assignments and things along that nature.
Yeah. That UDA or ultimate duty assignment is like so incredibly important that, the classic example is, hey, I got orders to Southwest. I'm going to San Diego, but your actual recruiting station is in Las Vegas, right? Because it's the same NTAG, right? So you got to be clear with the CR, who is along with the commanding officer at the NTAG, is working to ensure that all the stations are properly manned, and then works with the detailers to get it in the orders. And we care about, what are the personal situations? My wife has a job in Las Vegas. I have family there, or San Diego, or somewhere in between. But also, what skills do you bring to the table? Do you have language skills? Those kinds of things. Do you have some history where you've spent time in a given area where you have a deeper connection in that community? That's all very helpful for a CR and then for the detailer to make the right assignment.
Yeah. So, Chief, what are some good practices for sailors that are approaching their prospective windows?
Yes. So recruiters right now, they know they're coming up for orders here soon, is get into My Navy assignment. Update your profile, update your preference. Make sure that all that stuff is accurate and up to date of what platforms you want to be on, what locations, and rate them accurately of what you're looking for. Because once you go into the system and apply for orders, how we look at it, the scoring criteria will do it, and then at the same time, that kind of helps your scoring criteria. So say you're looking at trying to be in Virginia on a carrier, and those hit all your preference. When you select orders, that kind of affects your scoring criteria. And then whenever we go in there to select orders, we try to match up your preference to what you picked. So say you may not get your first preference that you selected, but your third preference fits all what you're looking for, your location, platform. So it gives the detail of all the information he needs to kind of help you with that next phase of your career.
Yeah. Keeping M&A up to date, keeping your, it's all part of transparent communication, right? Really good.
So as we prepare to close out this episode of Uncharted Waters, my final question for you, Chief, is, in the perfect world, what does the ideal process look like?
The perfect world ideal process of, like, talking to that sailor and saying, these are locations I want to go to, and being able to get them that location. Being able to have a win for the Navy and the sailor at the same time is the win every time.
Yeah, it's talking early, it's having that communication. Everybody's happy because you knew well in advance where they needed to go. You could watch what's happening in those areas, provide feedback to the sailor. Yeah, that's super important. And again, it's that early and often communication, right?
Absolutely. Sir, closing remarks?
Yeah, I'm really excited that you were able to spend some time with us this afternoon, Chief. It's been very informative. Detailing is one of those areas that tends to be something of a scary mystery to many. And it's nice to see we have a human that really cares, that really has walked a mile in the recruiter's shoes, because you are a recruiter. And I think it's wonderful you've taken the time to explain some of these things to us today. So thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Recruiting Nation, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Uncharted Waters with the one, the only, the people's champ, the architect of success, Admiral James Waters. Chief Totemay, out.